As cryptocurrency is spreading across many countries, look out, because Bitcoin and Ethereum buzz is starting to hit across the mainstream media. At the same time, we have more states in the USA that are rushing to get legislation passed so their individual state laws will take precedence before national regulation. Is Bitcoin and blockchain technology about to sweep over America? Does this mean financial and business elites already have their positions in crypto? And how intense will the FUD and hype be around Bitcoin and Ethereum? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. There's a lot going on in the news today. There's a lot going on with regulation. There's a lot going on with news across the different countries, and things seem to be kicking up a little bit. We have, from my alerts, Litecoin shooting up, all-time highs, especially in comparison to that dollar, but even in comparison to Bitcoin, staying strong around that 2% mark, double where we were with that 1% parity. It's really interesting seeing that Litecoin price jump up, seeing the Dash price jump up, hearing a lot of news coming from a lot of events and meetings with people getting together to announce the new technology that's coming out. It's what happened when the price increased just recently. But what we have going on today is just a look at the story, just building up the information, what's going on all across the world, but also specifically at looking at how that news is reaching America, what's happening in America, because I see it as a barometer of cryptocurrency. When America starts paying attention, and when America starts building up the regulation and getting involved in the cryptocurrency space, we're going to see a lot of other countries follow suit with what America does and what the dollar does. So with that being said, let's take a look at the market. Let's pop into what's going on in the news and get some more details, and let's discuss. Okay, so to recap the market, courtesy coinmarketcap.com, we have the Bitcoin dominance, again, moving back up to that 42%. We were less than 40%, and now it's increasing up again. The market cap over $100 billion and $3 billion in trading in the past 24 hours. So with our top 10 coins, as I was mentioning, Dash has been jumping up. Big news with the release of the latest upgrade for Dash and what that means in terms of features for users. And so people are really excited about that. There's not a lot of Dash in existence. And so, if you owned about 20 or 21 Dash, and that's similar to Bitcoin, that's about 1% or so of all the Dash in the world. So if you had 21 Bitcoins and 84 Litecoins and about what do we have here? Total Dash. It may be about 18 million or 21 million Dash. So if you had 21 Dash, and it's 1%, or 1/1,000,000th, excuse me, of each of those coins. So that's just a really interesting idea for you to own 1% of all the Dash and 1% of all the Litecoin, or 1/1,000,000th again of those coins, and just see how that turns out after 10 or 20 or 30 years, right? Okay, so real quick, we have been seeing how Australia's been changing the laws to allow Bitcoin acceptance in Australia. We see that with Japan, Bitcoin is accepted throughout every merchant inside Japan. And in Russia, we were hearing about how Russia is going to be accepting Bitcoin and regulating Bitcoin as early as 2018, right around the corner. And so what we have here is another major country, South Korea, preparing to regulate and legalize Bitcoin. And so they're prepared to regulate and legalize cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum in South Korea. And they want to regulate it because a lot of them seem like they may be naysayers, but at the same time they recognize that something has to happen for the country in terms of regulation and some sort of control over the cryptocurrency. They recognize here, this part in red, the possibility of cryptocurrencies wreaking havoc on the national economy from what they see as digital currency bubble bursting, or perhaps the opposite, which is the fiat bubble bursting and all that money potentially going into cryptocurrency. But in South Korea, the government is going to be pushing for the systemization of digital currency on a full scale in tandem with the global trend in the US, Japan, and other countries. And so again, the trend in Japan is completely legal. The trend in the United States is a lot of regulation. And the trend in other countries is to either regulate or leave alone. So looking into Colombia, we had earlier reports saying how Bitcoin was illegal in Colombia, and they were making laws going against Bitcoin in Colombia, making it illegal. But what we have in Colombia is that from this article, Cointelegraph.com, the country has no plans to make it illegal. And that Bitcoin is not an asset that can be considered a currency because it does not have the support of central banks of any countries. And so this is a reoccurring theme where we're hearing a lot of countries talking about the definition of currency and if Bitcoin is a currency and if it's an accepted currency. And what we see from the countries is that they're leaning to the central banks. They're saying if the central banks don't recognize it as currency, then it's not currency, it's an asset to either to be regulated or to be left alone. So in Colombia, the Colombian government has not passed any laws stating how the country should treat the electronic money. So the cryptocurrency is unauthorized in Colombia, but it's not banned. And in fact, according to this article, the number of people using Bitcoins in Colombia has actually been growing. Probably just as in Greece, just as in Venezuela, as we have, as people are experiencing difficulties in the economy, as they're experiencing difficulties with the fiat, the local fiat currency, a percentage of the populations are recognizing that Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, these different blockchain cryptocurrencies, are there to fulfill a need in terms of a store of value, in terms of an electronic cash, and at the very least, as a hedge against some of the economic frustrations that are apparently popping up all over the world. Very interesting. So speaking about economic uncertainty all over the world, we have Fox News talking about Bitcoin. So we've had a lot of articles coming out from CNBC, but now we have Fox News talking about Bitcoin in a very serious way, talking about Bitcoin mooning. And so I'm not gonna play this video right now. I'll have the link in the description below. But it's very interesting that all the Fox News audience now is hearing about Bitcoin. They're seeing Bitcoin. They're hearing that it's not just for terrorists. They're hearing that Bitcoin could go all the way to the moon, that Bitcoin could go to $1 million. They write on the screen $1 billion Bitcoin. Super crazy hype, right? Even I don't think about a $1 billion Bitcoin. I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe, I don't know. That's just crazy. But $1 million Bitcoin, that seems a little more tangible to me. And so all these Fox News audience members are hearing about Bitcoin, and they're also hearing about it. If you watch the video from Fox News here, they're hearing about it in the context of distrust of the government. They're hearing about it as a safe way to protect themselves from a government that they don't trust with the, the type of news that's reported and the type of music and the type of emotions that are elicited from cable news. It's just really interesting to watch the video and just recognize how they're creating this platform to encourage, to later point to how they were there to recommend it for their viewers. And so this is the canary in the coal mine, if you will, the fact that we're starting to see this on the mainstream media, and then it's past the CNBC and it's on Fox News. What's next? MSNBC, the local nightly news. We have these different levels of escalation, and we're breaking through right now in America enough for what I would recommend most people to take notice. So with what we have coming out in the news, there's this other video that came out this week from CNBC, and I'm not going to play this video either, but I'll have the link in the description below. And this video, if you watch, is talking about the differences between Bitcoin and Ethereum, the differences between the Bitcoin token and the Ether token. And it's really interesting because it's really drawing a lot of similarities between the cryptocurrencies and the blockchains, but it's really skewed to say that Ethereum is the superior cryptocurrency, it's the superior token, because it can do everything Bitcoin can do and a whole lot more. And I think that really just takes away from the conversation. It really adds division and divisiveness to the community. And so what we have is that, we have Bitcoin, which is a store of value, and after SegWit, potentially an electronic cash for transacting and buying cups of coffee, not just for storing your wealth. And then we have Ethereum, which can do that, but it's really based on the idea of a supercomputer and the idea of creating smart contracts and creating logic with what's happening with those tokens. And so the token itself isn't, although it can be a currency, it's not really to be used as the idea of a currency, right? It's to fuel the supercomputers, to fuel the system of smart contracts. So while the CNBC video is talking about how Ethereum can be a currency and is a better currency, these are two separate things. Bitcoin is limited, Bitcoin is gold, Bitcoin is money, and Ethereum is a globally distributed supercomputer that allows smart contracts between human and non-human participants. And so it's not that one is better than the other. They have different properties. And so because they have different properties, they have different values, different benefits, different risks. And it's important for us to recognize that we want Bitcoin for the reasons why Bitcoin is strong, and we want Ether for the reasons that Ether is strong. And I think it's this is just adding into the divide and conquer sort of mentality, getting more people to put their money into Ethereum, which is supporting the businesses that are building on these blockchains, that are putting money into businesses, bottom line, that aren't really blockchain companies. They're more distributed ledger companies, which is a very, very different thing, where Bitcoin is very decentralized and Bitcoin is limited, Bitcoin is deflationary. And generally speaking, a lot of these institutions, a lot of these large corporations, they want cheap Bitcoin so that they can get cheap Bitcoin. It's just as simple as that. So just be very careful about being parted between from your Bitcoin. And when you watch this video, just recognize how it's skewed to say that Ethereum is better for almost every single reason, and it doesn't distinguish the differences for why Bitcoin is awesome on its own. And I hope that you guys walk away recognizing that Bitcoin is strong and has strong value and property for its own reasons, and it's not an either or proposition, at least not from my Okay, so if we're seeing Bitcoin and the CNBC and Ethereum in CNBC, and now we're hearing about Bitcoin in Fox News, then it raises the question, are the world's elites really buying into Ethereum? And do the world's elites already have their position in Ethereum? And so, when the world elites, and who are world elites, right? I mean, it's hard to even say what that means. It's such a vague term. But let's just say, for this context, world elites are leaders in business, executives, management in business, leaders and executives, management and financial services, technology. And so these leaders, they're looking at other leaders. I mean, that's a part of what a leader does, is that the leader has their finger in the wind, their finger on the pulse. They're paying attention to what's going on, what's being said. And so in this article, earlier this week, we have John McAfee. You might have heard of McAfee Security Software. And, was talking with this MGT Capital, started to mine Ethereum alongside Bitcoin. And so this is just creating a lot of information, a lot of buzz. This is just really reaching a lot of people and recognizing that when smart, intelligent people are getting involved in Bitcoin and Ethereum, then a lot of others are taking notice. At the same time, we have the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, the EEA, and this has just been an organization that's been doing an incredible job getting investors and people and businesses involved with the blockchain space and with the Ethereum space. And to go a little bit deeper, in late May, Fidelity Investments, which is a major US-based investment firm, trading trillions, overseeing $2.13 trillion worth in assets, generating $15.9 billion in annual revenue, revealed that it's been mining Ethereum and has been developing applications on top of the Ethereum blockchain, understanding the network further, and the CEO stating, and this is just shocking to read here, but it's always fun just to point out to everybody again that the CEO of Fidelity, they have built proofs of concepts that accept Bitcoin microtransactions. And so these proof of concepts already exist, not from just the distributed developers across the world, but these proof of concepts have already been developed by Fidelity for accepting Bitcoin microtransactions. And they've already set up small Bitcoin and Ethereum mining operations, for the spirit of learning. But I'm sure that spirit of learning is going to give them a huge edge into money making, because they're already going to have leapfrogged over the discovery phase and having to figure out how things work. And so they're already getting these protocols and these processes built into their businesses. And so it's really important to recognize that as many cool applications are being developed by so many cool people, these very large companies are going to be developing very powerful applications that the majority of people are going to be using. And so this is happening. We're seeing it in Fox News. We're seeing it in CNBC. We see that there's applications that are already being built by these major corporations and these major investment firms like Fidelity. And we see that they're not just mining it, but then they have all these different proofs of concept. And so where does this bring us? This brings us to the regulation aspect of what's happening in the different states. So businesses like certainty, businesses like structure, businesses like to know what to expect in terms of the laws where they're operating, so they can have that clarity and know what to expect, and so they can become profitable. And out of the state of Illinois, they are preparing to add additional regulation to the blockchain. They have the study to see how and if the state of Illinois the county governments and the municipal governments can benefit from a transition to blockchain-based systems. So this is a state that is interested in learning how this can be beneficial for them. And if they're asking these questions, they're going to start to get some answers. And with what's going on, so moving on here, the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations has also joined the R3 consortium. And now it's not clear if they're going to remain in the R3 consortium or if they're going to be moving on to a different platform, which is less focused on blockchain technology and more of a distributed ledger technology, which again has different application. But they're recognizing that these businesses, this technology, and the businesses that develop this technology, if they have regulation that promotes the growth of these businesses, that can have a huge economic benefit for the state's tourism, for the state's taxes, for the businesses that are operating there. So again, Goldman Sachs, we have this other report that they're referencing of Goldman Sachs recognizing the power of blockchain technology, where it was revealed that Goldman Sachs believes blockchain offers a transparent, efficient, and secure infrastructure for data processing and transaction settlement. So this is what the states are looking at. The states are seeing that the private industries are looking into blockchain. The states are seeing that there's new companies, new startup companies in the blockchain space and the financial technology space, and these new companies are grouping up, creating consortiums, and are working together with traditional, larger, well-established companies like JP Morgan Chase, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, and all of this is coming together, and these business leaders are coming together, and they're communicating with the state leaders who are creating the laws, and they're interested in creating an environment, a business environment that can allow these new blockchain companies and these, very large traditional companies to really leverage the explosion in the technology that is about to happen. So they're conducting these studies, and they're getting these regulations passed, and not just in Illinois. We also see a lot of things happening in for better and for worse in Florida and Arizona and New Hampshire. Well, now we also have this legislation is happening in Delaware. And so why is Delaware important? Well, if you have a corporation and you're in America, then there's a huge likelihood that your corporation is incorporated in Delaware. I think every S corporation is incorporated in Delaware, and a lot of other corporations are incorporated in Delaware simply because the corporate laws in Delaware are just very favorable for corporations. I believe there's a significant difference in many more corporations in the state of Delaware than there's actually people in the state of Delaware. So what has happened is that Delaware has passed amendments to the state law that make it the explicit right to trade stocks on a blockchain. This has all been crammed into the state house at the last minute, and these measures were a part of a broader series of amendments that legally recognized a whole number of different records and reasons of information being stored on the blockchain. And but this all got all put together at the last minute, rushed in, pushed in, and now stocks can be traded on the blockchain, information can be traded on the blockchain, and Delaware says that they have history being made, that they're interested in staying in the forefront of corporate law and leaders in terms of enabling the use of distributed ledgers and blockchain technology. So there's another quote here that they look forward to helping Delaware corporations enjoy the benefits of this new innovative technology. And what else do we have here? And so for seen and unforeseen reasons, this is just going to have huge implications in the way companies do business and the way they're listed in the future. It says here that this is expected to pave the way for a potentially large-scale issuance of stock on a blockchain, and that trading stock on a blockchain, where we can cut out the middlemen, would just create a stronger, faster, more secure process. And this makes it explicit the legality of such assurances, as requested through the previous governor and multiple areas of the legislation. So the bill solidifies its leadership in corporate registry services by enabling end-to-end digitalization for administrative securities. And this quote ends by saying, banks are eager to use the automated filing procedures it enables for liens on collateral. So very, very interesting there. The a lot happening with the laws that are being enacted across the many different states across America. And what this is all leading up to is national regulation, national laws that will be founded throughout all 50 states and districts of America. And I think that the important thing for us to look at and for us to analyze and for us to consider, for us to scrutinize with this information that's coming out is really how these laws are being created with the assistance of the consortiums, with the assistance of the larger companies that are really involved with the business and that have these billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars to throw around. And so, I think that it's safe to predict that while there's going to be a lot of benefits for businesses and there's going to be a lot of benefits for creating continuity across different areas or even within a single state, these laws are likely going to be skewed for businesses, making it, maybe more difficult for the common person to buy and sell, to transact. For example, in New York State, with the BIT license, you can't buy Bitcoin for somebody. They have to do that on their own. And if you were to do that for them, then you would have to have a license, which is very expensive and takes a lot of time, and it's not even guaranteed that you'll get that license. There's a lot of process and procedure that you have to go through. And so if you were an individual or a small company, it might not even be worth it. And so it really adds on layers and barriers to entry for people, but at the same time can create security and infrastructure and what they may argue as a well-regulated market where people can also be safe, because while Bitcoin and blockchain technology is really, really interesting, we're definitely in an area right now, especially with all the ICOs, where a lot of innocent people can be really, really taken advantage of. And so where's that middle ground between crypto anarchy and letting anyone do anything they want, and also providing some sort of rule of order so that we don't have people misleading people and companies taking advantage of people that unfortunately don't have all the knowledge that maybe they should. So I'd love to know your thoughts, to hear your thoughts, for you to share your thoughts with us. What do you think about seeing Bitcoin and blockchain technology on Fox News? Do you think Fox News is mainstream media? Do you think that's a sign of what's to come? Or do you think that it's no big deal? Which major media outlet would, if you saw it on that media outlet, would you just think, wow, things are about to blow up, right? Maybe the Today Show, maybe Good Morning America, maybe the nightly news, after the local news perhaps. What's your canary in a coal mine where it's sort of the red flag that things are about to get really crazy in America? Because with each of these states that are making all of their individual laws, it's really just a precursor of, you know, the national overtaking that's going to be happening in America. And once it overtakes America, then it's really just going to fall like a set of dominoes to the rest of the world. And, you know, and then the ride will just be starting. So thanks for joining me for this video. Thanks for learning this information with us and checking out what's going on. We have some really exciting news coming out, new videos, new information on the way. Tap that like button, share your comments below, and together, I'm glad we're minting coins.